Hey guys, John V here from PhoneArena. Right now you're watching our video review of the HTC First. It's the very first handset to feature the new Facebook Home experience. So if you love Facebook, live and die by it, this is something you want to take a look at. It's available right now through AT&T for a 2-year contract price of only $100. Some really modest specs, and of course the price point is pretty good too. So we're going to find out whether or not this is the Facebook experience that you want to get. For the price point and all, we're very satisfied with the direction HTC went in making the HTC First. It's a very pleasant looking handset. It's not as stylish, but has a very nice minimalistic look to it. Now it employs a soft touch surface all around the back here, so it gives it a very clean finish. It's also fairly sturdy with its build quality construction, so it's pretty solid in that aspect. And finally, we like the rounded edges and corners to give it a very natural feel in the hand. And overall, it's big enough, but not too big. With this, we get a 4.3-inch 720p Super LCD 3 displays, so that's 720 by 1280 pixels. If you look at the browser in a zoomed out view, we're still able to make out some defined text here in the web browser, though we got to really look very closely to see them, but of course it helps when you do some pinch gestures just to draw out some of those details. Beyond that though, it's a very pleasant looking display in terms of the color reproduction. It's not oversaturated, has a very neutral tone to it, so very nice. The viewing angles though, the extreme angles kind of washes out, and when we use it in outdoor conditions, we still find its brightness output not the strongest, so we find ourselves having to shield it away from the sun. On the opposite side, you have a slit, very narrow looking for the earpiece, and you have also the front-facing 1.6 megapixel camera, which has the ability to shoot 720p video. Even though it's a little bit flat to the touch, the volume control actually has a nice tactile response when you press it down. Luckily, the power button has just a little bit more feel to it, so it sticks out a little bit more. Same nice springy response when you press it down. We also have the 3.5mm headset jack and a noise cancellation microphone on the top edge. Both the micro USB port for charging data connectivity and the micro SIM slot are found on the right edge of the phone. And finally, along the bottom edge of the handset, you have these micro dots which make out its speaker, and we also have the microphone right there. It's not a monster compared to some of the other handsets out there, but you get a reasonably sized 5-megapixel autofocus camera with LED flash on the HTC First, and it features the ability to shoot video in 1080p. Turning on the handset, we're immediately presented with the new Facebook Home experience. Now what it does, it replaces the traditional lock screen we'd find with Android with the Facebook Home experience. And what it does, it has a very nice dynamic presentation in the way it aggregates content from your Facebook account and shows it in this very nice slideshow-like presentation. So it's very spiffy looking, but after a few days, it kind of gets old, quite frankly. But you have some functionality, some basic functionality directly from Facebook Home. So for example, if you want to like something, you can just double tap the post. You could also comment. You could see the amount of people have commented on it and liked it as well. And you can just simply swipe through all the posts itself, left or right, like so. And if you want to see the photo in the background, just do a long press. So it's pretty nice with that, but it's not as deep as we'd like it to be. We want a little bit more Facebook, like the ability to actually check into places. But in order to do that, you still have to launch the standard application. One cool feature that hardcore Facebook users will really appreciate is Chat Head. Basically, if you use the Facebook Messenger application to chat with all your friends, you have instant access to those conversations at any time. So basically, you have your chat heads right here, and you can put it anywhere on the screen. So you keep in the corner if you like, anywhere that's out of place. And from here, it's layered on top of whatever you're doing. So for example, if you're using the web browser, you can still instantly jump to your conversations just by tapping on the chat heads like so. And you could place them again anywhere on the screen itself, so it's always easily accessible. And if you want, you could also end all the conversations like so. Like we said, the new Facebook Home experience is definitely refreshing, but after a few days, it becomes a little bit on the stale side. But luckily, you have the ability to actually turn it off. So if you go to the Facebook Home settings, you could actually turn off Facebook Home, and after that, you're actually given a pure Android experience with Android 4.1.2 Jelly Bean. So you have all the aspects of Android intact here. And of course, you could turn back on Facebook Home if you'd like. So you have the personalization aspect, the same exact lock screen, the same exact app panel layout. Everything's identical to what you'd expect. Though we wish it had been the latest version of Android, but nevertheless, it's still nice to know that it's pretty much untouched. Aside from the Facebook Home experience, there's nothing that really differentiates the HTC First from any other Android device out there. You have that rich personalization aspect with Android, and of course all the core organizer apps are pretty much identical to any other handset out there. You have your calendar, you have your calculator, you have your clock, all that is pretty much the same. For some people out there used to typing on a larger size display, there might be a little bit of an adjustment trying to get a feel for the HTC First keyboard. It might be a little bit cramped, but luckily it's very responsive to the touch. And of course, no problems whatsoever when you use the landscape option. Being a 4G LTE device, there's no problems in terms of page loads with HTC First. It's pretty fast and quick. And we're pretty content also with the data speeds we were seeing. As far as the performance of the web browser itself, it relies on the Chrome web browser, and it's pretty quick. It's effective enough for most things. We didn't have any issues whatsoever using it. Powering the handset is a dual-core 1.4 GHz Qualcomm Snapdragon 400 processor with 1 GB RAM. Now, that's not the beefiest specs we've seen on the handset, but it's still more than ample enough to run most tasks with little effort. Now, for more processor-intensive things, such as live wallpapers and even multitasking, it can show a little bit of a slowdown, but it's not terrible. And as far as the other basic tasks, whether it be opening up applications, surfing the web, stuff like that, it's pretty much quick. With a very minimal weight with most things. Not surprisingly, the music player on the HTC First is your standard fanfare with the Google Play music application. So it has a nice looking presentation, of course, with the 3D carousel when you tilt it to landscape. As far as the audio quality of its speaker, we gotta say we're pleasantly surprised. It's pretty ample enough, doesn't sound distorted at the loudest volume setting, and has a pretty good volume output to it as well. Out of the box, the HTC First supports a wide array of video codecs. You have H.264, MPEG-4, DivX, and XVID, so it's nice to have all that in tow. As far as the performance, it's really good. The video here is in 1080p resolution. You can tell very smooth playback, and of course, the display has a very nice natural color tone, so it makes a very pleasant thing to actually watch. As I said earlier, the HTC First is armed with a 5-megapixel autofocus camera which features an f2.0 lens. There isn't a dedicated button to launch the camera app, nor is there access to it from the Facebook Home lock screen. So that means we basically have to go to the app panel and launch the app itself. So there's just some steps involved and just try and take photos. Now, as far as the quality with the camera, it's only usable for outdoor conditions as long as it's sunny, though it's still not the best thing out there. It just kind of lacks with the details. And on top of that, it doesn't handle dynamic range well, so at times it can look a little bit overexposed. And just basically the color reproduction is very washed out, so it lacks any serious punchiness to its colors. And it's even made worse in lower lighting conditions just because it draws out a lot more dull details and graininess. Likewise, we're not too thrilled by the HTC First 1080p video recording quality. It just doesn't wow us at all. The biggest distraction that we have is just the artifacting elements that really pop up. Even when you're just holding the camera steadily, it becomes more apparent as you're moving very quickly, and it just really softens its overall quality. Battery life, depending on your connectivity, will vary, of course. Now, we used it both with HSPA Plus exclusively and 4G LTE connectivity. With our normal usage, we're able to get approximately a little bit over the 8-hour mark with 4G LTE, which isn't saying much. But luckily, with HSPA Plus connectivity, you get a little bit more usage out of it. We got close to the 15-hour mark before it was completely dead. So this is still something that requires some charging every now and then. Now, don't go out and buy the HTC First purely for the Facebook Home experience. Buy it for its modest price point of $100 and its very well-rounded aspect. But also the design, it's very pleasant and very minimalistic, so that's going to appeal to some people. Facebook Home, it's a nice start for Facebook. It's great that it's a little bit more in your face, but we were hoping for it to be a little bit more comprehensive in terms of the functionality. We appreciate the very dynamic look it has to offer, but beyond that, other handsets are going to be getting this guy. So get this handset just because you're on a budget, $100, and you want a nice looking phone that has that Facebook experience that you really crave. So if you want to learn more about the HTC First, guys, you can check out our website, PhoneArena.com. It's John V. Thanks for watching.